I want to. I've always been really impressed by you. So when I met you, I believe you were 21, and immediately, um, I felt like you were just, I don't know what the right word is, but you like demonstrated extremely impressive levels of understanding of things like the English language, the way you communicate with people, also written. I mean, you've sent me documents you've written for school, and I feel like a bad friend because I know you sent me one like 2 months ago, and I haven't
I still
read it
haven't read
yet.
it.
I still haven't read it, no. But like, I actually did pull it up on my phone and I read like the first page, and I was like, "Yep, um, this is exactly what I remembered." But years ago, you sent me some law that you wrote, like, papers you wrote for school. And I haven't seen anybody write anything like that. And I know we don't have the ability to show it here. So I don't really want to get too much into that unless you want to talk about how you do that. But I just find your ability to write, use the English language, and then also when we started talking about politics or subjects in law, like specifically really detailed stuff in the law, like how it works, the way people, we would even talk about the way people might use language in the courtroom, like how they object and what the rules are. And it seems like you learn something, and if you're interested in it, you know it every single detail possible and you don't forget it. And I remember thinking the way you could present yourself at 21 years old when I was 26 felt like the maturity of somebody in their mid 30s, and I didn't know anybody my age that could do that. And so you were just immediately somebody that I knew I wanted to spend time with. Now you're in law school. I believe you're starting your third year, and so
Yeah, graduate
um,
in 7 months, baby. I'm
congratulations.
not. I'm not counting or anything.
So, and plus, I remember even in undergrad, like I was around in person when you were doing some of your undergrad, you were taking like 18 or maybe 21 credits at a time, but your social life was very busy. You were working like 50 hours a week and had two different jobs. And it just felt like, okay, I can see that he can manage his time really well, and also get a lot done, and you were getting good grades and you were like retaining the information. So all that I mean, that was a lot of nice things, but I really do want everyone to understand. I think of you as somebody that is an expert in the field of law already, and I think that that'll kind of come out. I just want to see if you could give your own words, a background of, you know, your experience with law, and then we'll kind of get into. I have a couple questions for you that I think would
Yeah,
be interesting.
sure. So I think this is great. We were kind of chatting earlier with what are the topics that you think you have enough mastery of to kind of like unpack. And it's weird because I don't think we didn't really bring up like English or writing, and I don't really think of myself as I think of myself as a person who writes well. Um, Probably because I understand English a little better, but I understand English because of coursework I took to help me understand writing. Really, which is so backwards. It's not how you're supposed to figure it out, right? You're supposed to like learn the grammar and then learn how to write. But the problem is, like in college, really in high school and in college, they teach you how to write to sound smart. And so your academic writing is this like, it's this like trickle thing where they like, there's like a surprise at the end, and that's when you're educated. And it's, I guess, really beautiful if you're just like intellectually masturbating and trying to sound smart for your own sake. And I took this class with in political science at Nebraska. You could take special topics courses, and it would say like special topics, and then it would say the course name, and they would only offer it like every couple semesters or something. But for what I thought it said brief writing, which I thought was like a pre-law class, like writing legal briefs. So I signed up for it. The first class is this guest speaker, and he just talks about like concision and how never use two words when one will do, yada yada. Like, don't waste people's time. Basically, doing on a small scale what we're talking about on a big scale. And then the guy was gone for 3 classes, and then the ad drop period was over. And then I figured out, no, it's writing a briefing for the National Security Establishment. So it was like not something I was interested in at all. And I'm like the only person in there who wasn't like didn't want to work for the NSA or something, right? So uh, I have to keep taking the class now because I can't drop it. And a big part of it was writing. And I mean, we have a book. It's actually right over here somewhere called Writing for Intelligence, and it's about writing for the intelligence industry, but it's also writing with intelligence. And the professor helped me understand that, in analytical writing, like for example, if you're writing a decision memo for the president, you've got to fit all the information in like half a page because he just doesn't have time to read all these. And it needs to be really blunt. Like, this is what this is about. It's going to say this, this, and this. And then each of those has it's very like upside down hierarchy. And he's like, what's beautiful about this is you can write academically this way. It's just not going to sound as sexy, but you can't write to inform people in an academic way because it's not informing enough. They have to read it multiple times to understand. And
Okay.
that really hit me because, I mean, it's funny because legal writing is pretty much like that. It has some caveats because you're citing a lot, so it doesn't feel as tight, but it really is structurally as tight. And it just made so much sense to me. And it's fascinating because it's really hard to write that way because it's not exactly how your brain thinks, but when
No,
you've got
not
it
at
in
all.
an outline, when you've got it in the outline, you're like, oh my God, this just makes sense. It's really just like logic with your thought process. And I kind of figured that out because of that class. And then, and I had an English minor, and that was the class that I think helped me figure out how to write well. It's funny because what you're talking about was time management. And back then, I mean, I'm 30 now. Back then I would just pull an all-nighter once a week, just doing
Yeah,
school.
and we
I
couldn't do
can't do
that.
that now. We
No.
could do it. It was just oh yeah, that's fine. And I was go to work the next day after I stay up all night. And I would just wake up the next day and be I'm recovered. I just slept 2 extra hours and now I'll be fine for a week. Today, if I'm hungover, it's 6 days later and I'm why isn't this leaving me? So
Well,
it's
yeah,
been a
we
little
used to stay up
tougher.
late, and
Oh
I
man.
would, I mean, randomly, I think I would go out sometimes with you on Thursday, and it would be late, and then I had to go to work. I had to be there at 8 a.m., and I would call you or text you at 7:30 in the morning on my way to work. You were probably, I mean, I wasn't drinking, so you had been drinking, and up till 2, maybe you stayed out later, and then I call you at 7:30 and you'd answer, like always. And so, I just remember thinking does he ever sleep? But
It's caught up with me a little bit. I think your sleep diet is a hard thing to relearn, but I think it's probably the single biggest impact on your health, especially from an immune perspective. It's really, for me, the hard thing is going to bed early enough because I'm going to get up when I have to. Period.
yeah,
I'll just not have enough sleep. So you have to tell yourself, I'm going to go to bed. And being a bartender for all these years, I never wanted to go to bed before 3 a.m.
no,
So
that is the
yeah,
hardest
I
thing.
feel this is the thing that makes you feel older when you're oh, I guess I get up at 8 now and drink coffee in the morning.